Hi, kia ora, and welcome to Creative Connections, where we have beautiful, inspiring conversations with artists living in Aotearoa, New Zealand. I'm your host, Mandy Yarkich. Today on Creative Connections, I'm joined by figurative artist Mark Whippy. Mark is a Kiwi-Fijian artist born and raised in Auckland, New Zealand. Mark's figurative and portrait art is inspired by observing the ordinary everyday people and scenes of the environment, hoping to capture their stories and characters, finding the beauty of everyday life. Mark's style is a playful blend of realism and abstraction. His focus currently has been on the urban environment of Auckland City life. As well as being a practising artist, Mark has a passion for teaching art and helping others gain confidence and grow their skills. In this episode, we talk about life drawing, teaching art, participating in art battles, Mark's experience studying fine art at Whitecliffe in Auckland, Tamaki Makaurau, his experience drawing people's portraits in public, Mark's painting process, entering art awards, neurodiversity, and the ideas behind Mark's paintings. Mark talks about his introverted younger self and the ways he has gained confidence in himself and his practice over the years, through his time at Whitecliffe Art School, participating in online art classes, and stepping out of his comfort zone. I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I enjoyed meeting Mark. Kia ora, Mark.
Hey,
Welcome to Creative Connections.
thank you.
You were born in Auckland and you are of New Zealand and Fijian descent.
I was born and raised in Auckland, and I grew up in Onehunga. So my father is Fijian, and my mum, her mother is also from Fiji, but they're from like a half-caste family. So, but if you see my mum, you'll think she was just like Pākehā. But I grew up more with my mum, I still see my dad on weekends and things like that. I didn't have too much of the influence from my Fijian side as I would like, but I still feel that I'm just like Kiwi-Fijian. I'm a Kiwi and I'm Fijian, and yeah.
And are you finding as you're getting older that you're connecting more to your Fijian culture?
Yeah, I feel like there's something calling me to go back. I feel like I need to go back to the islands, and I want to connect, but it's not always easy. But I have to save up and go there, and go on a long holiday, I think, back to Fiji.
Yeah, like an artist residency or something would be amazing.
Yeah, to do my own residency thing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that'd be incredible. So as a child, were you sort of exploring your creativity at all?
Oh yeah, my whole life. Like I remember, even in like kindergarten, I think I was always quite an introverted child, and I remember when I was in kindergarten, and I was a huge fan of Batman. And I think when I was a kid, that Batman movie that came out in like 1990 or 89, it was like kind of new, and it was the in thing. And so when I was a kid, when I was 4, my favorite color was black because of Batman. And so I would spend a lot of time doing paintings, and I'd use a lot of black. And I remember that the teachers were like concerned to my mother, like, is he okay? He's doing all these black paintings and stuff. I was always like that. Even just drawing with my older brother, and I remember just scribbling as well, and then watching it, like finding drawings in the scribbles, when you're a kid, and then turning that drawing into something. So I've always been like that. I remember even when I was 5, because I think because I was always drawing, like I was always kind of the arty kid, so I was always the kid that was always good at drawing, I suppose. Yeah, I would always just think on that sort of wavelength.
Mm.
Yeah.
Were you the kid at school that everybody asked to draw things for them?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's quite a big thing, isn't it? It's quite a common thing actually with artists,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it almost seems like it's the beginning of, the beginning of your career and the beginning of your sort of that affirmation that you kind of need to get you on the
Yeah.
path.
And it's always a weird question because people always ask you, how long have you been drawing or how long have you been doing art? And it's like, it's always a weird question to answer because it's like, I've always been doing art,
Yeah.
like as far as I can remember. One thing I always found interesting when I remember I was 5 years old, I just started primary, and I remember looking over at the other kids, when they were drawing, and I remember noticing how they would all sort of copy each other. I remember when we were drawing people, and because I was already good at drawing, and then I noticed they would just do sort of the same sort of like stick figure kind of drawings, and I just remember finding it strange because I noticed they were just drawing that way because that's how everybody else was doing it. Or like the sun, I remember they would draw the sun like a circle with lines around it. And because I was kind of an introverted kid, I didn't really kind of think that way. I didn't think, oh, that's how everyone else is doing it, so that's how you're supposed to do it, or that's how I should do it. And I always found it kind of weird. And I thought to myself, like the sun doesn't look like that. Like why are they drawing it like that?
That's so true.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's such a true thing. I mean, it's actually quite fascinating, isn't it? In the way,
yeah,
kids often put the sun up in the corner of the piece
mm.
of paper, and yeah, it's all stuff that they've seen. So
Yeah.
what do you think was making you draw and sort of draw figures in your own way, apart from the fact that you were spending time on your own? What was it, do you think, that got you going?
To be honest, I don't really know. I think I just kind of was an independent thinker. I think, like, um, because I would just think about it, like, how would I do it, or what does it actually look like, you know? Uh, but I'm not really. I just thought it was just because I was just kind of introverted. I think it's
And in
just
some ways, that's a gift for a child in a way to have enough time with themselves to kind of create their own way of doing things instead of feeling like they've got to follow the pack.
yeah. And I think what it was is I was a heavy daydreamer. I would always daydream. So I actually struggled to pay attention in school and stuff. So instead of really listening to others, I'm just busy daydreaming instead. And that might have something to do with it as well.
Yeah, creating your own stories in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you go at high school? I mean, it's probably quite hard for a child like you to then sort of fit into the box of high school art. How did you go?
When I went to high school, it was when NCA was new. Um, it had just started, just as we're starting like Form 5. We call it, I think, year 11 now. And I think that teachers were still trying to figure it out as well, how to really do it. But I was good at painting, but I felt like our school didn't really have the right teachers, uh, and I felt like I got pushed into because I remember you have to pick doing design or you're going to do painting or something like that. And when I look back, I should have just done painting, and I think I got kind of like talked into doing this design thing, and I wasn't good at it because I wasn't like Photoshop was still kind of new and stuff like that, and I I didn't even really have a computer until until like Form 6 or something. I had a computer like way after everybody else. So like I kind of struggled with that. And I wish I had just gone and done painting, which is what I always wanted to do anyway, you
Yeah,
know?
such a shame. And
Yeah.
were you continuing with your drawing and your painting at home at that time?
Um, yeah, I was, yeah. And I remember after high school, because I thought I shouldn't go to art school because you got to do something that you can get a job in, you know? So I left high school and I thought, but I wanted to just take a year off and just work instead, just work a job because I felt kind of stressed with all the exams and stuff. And so I thought, oh, I just need a break. I just need to I'll work first. And then I thought I had to maybe build up a portfolio of work as well before then applying to some kind of school. Um, and that took a while. I ended up working for like a year and a half, and I was sort of building up a portfolio of stuff. But instead of going to art school, I thought, well, I've got to do something kind of artistic, but something I could get a job in. And I ended up following what my friend did, and I went to this multimedia kind of course. It was called NetCol, but now it's joined and become UB. It's joined with some other schools. But back then it was called NetCol. And to be honest, I was again just following my friends, um, he's also a really good artist. And he's also here as well at
Oh,
Senior
really?
Space. Yeah.
Nice.
But I did that, and it was good at the start. But again, I struggled with because we were doing 3D animation, and I struggled with all the computer stuff. And I think the reason for that is because it wasn't really what I wanted to do. And so what happened is instead of working on my assignments for the 3D animation stuff, I would go home and I'd do an oil painting instead. Um, I'd spend my time doing oil painting, and every time I did a painting at home, I'd always felt like, this is what I was meant to do, you know. And so anyway, after that, I ended up working after I finished that course. I ended up working again, which was it was hard at the time because that was when we had that recession. We had that big
Mm-hmm.
crash or whatever. But eventually, I ended up working as a house painter.
Really? The
Yeah,
paint came out in the end.
yeah. But then about a year and a half, I finally went to art school after that.
Yeah, and you went to Whitecliffe, and that was
Yeah,
2013, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. And that's so great that you finally got there. What was it that sort of helped you get over the line doing something that you really were very passionate about?
um, I think I'm a bit on the spectrum, but I've never been like diagnosed or anything. Um, but I always found it hard when I was younger, and I look back at my younger self and I think, what the hell? Like I was quite weird back then, and I was very socially awkward back then. Not as much now, but back then, I think about some of like the views I had, and I'm like, what? I was so weird. What was going on there? But it would cause problems, I think, at work, and I just wasn't enjoying it. And I just thought, I've got to change something here.
And how did you find bringing such sort of innate creativity that was inside you around, especially portraits and more figurative work? How did you find sort of then going to another institution and sort of fitting in with their expectations?
Um, Oh, I did when I went to Whitecliffe. I did the foundation course first, and I really liked it, most of it. Again, but I mostly just concentrated on the painting and drawing, yeah, I really loved it, and but then like the same old pattern. If it's a subject I'm not really interested in, I just don't really put much effort into it. So I just put all my effort into the stuff that I actually liked.
Yeah. And
Oh,
was that okay? Did they accept that they just kind of let you go with the stuff that you love to do?
yeah, um, I think so. Yeah, because I did well in the areas that I was good at. So overall, it would kind of balance out.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the story of when I was working, um, there's a big story behind that, but it's my next show. It's going to be involved in the theme for my next show coming up, which is like kind of a surrealist theme.
Ah.
So maybe you'll hear more about that story another time.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
really interesting. We'll all have to come and see your show.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And are you sharing some of that story sort of quite outwardly through the show, or is it more
Uh,
subtle through your work?
it's what funnily enough, what I'm planning to do is there's going to be paintings, but it's going to have a 2D animation aspect to it. So now that we have like iPads with the pencils and stuff, I'm actually quite good at doing the digital drawing now.
Well, that's so
So
good.
yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh, that sounds really interesting. I'll definitely come to that show. And when is that and where is it, Mark?
Oh, it's in December. It's Studio One in Ponsonby. It's December, I think around the 17th, which is like coincidentally my birthday.
Wow,
Yeah.
and is it quite a personal show?
Yeah, yeah, and it's really different from what I normally do.
Mm, fascinating. Can't wait
Yeah.
to see it. And the experience at Whitecliffe, that was a 3-year degree, is that right?
Yes. I think at the time actually it was a 4-year degree. I think they've changed it now.
Right.
Yeah, it might
And
be 2 or 3 years now, I think.
and how did you find that? I mean, you were saying that you sort of did learn some skills that you
Yeah,
didn't have and sort of had that other appreciation for color. But did you
yeah.
find that you really learnt about life drawing and drawing the figure and how did you find it?
Uh, I learned a little bit about a little bit. We did a little bit of life drawing. That was the first time I'd ever done life drawing there. I learned some things that we were doing, like because like I was saying, I did the foundation course first, and I remember I had a good illustration teacher there, Paul Hooker, and I really liked his classes because the guy, you could tell he really knew what he was talking about, and he was really into what he did, and he would always try his best to really help the students and tried his best to really inspire the students as well. Um, and so I really liked that, but I felt like it wasn't enough. It was only like one class a week with him, and I knew that there was so much more I had to learn, but I felt like it wasn't enough time for those things, for like how to draw. I knew at the time I needed to improve my drawing a lot, but I always liked painting. I remember, like I was saying, I became obsessed with the colors, limited palettes and stuff, and you know, I'd always look around at everything around me and think, how would I paint that? What colors would I mix to paint that thing? You know. Um, And so, yeah, I did the foundation. When I first went there, I thought I was only going to do the foundation and then I'll just leave after that. I thought, I'll just learn some skills and, I don't need to carry on with that. And then I'll just sell artwork or something, But then when I went there, I realized how much I actually needed to learn, like I didn't know what I didn't know. And when I went there, I realized, oh man, I got heaps to learn. So I did. I thought, I'll just do the first year. I'll do first year. I didn't realize that when you do the fine art degree, you're supposed to do the whole degree. I thought, oh yeah, you can just leave whenever. So I thought I'll just do the first year. And then when I did the first year, and then I realized, oh, I've still got way more that I need to learn. And so I did the second. I thought I'll do one more year. I'll do the second year, and I did the second year. But when we got to the second year, I kind of stopped. I didn't enjoy it as much. I felt like I wasn't actually learning what I wanted to learn. And so I was doing the fine art degree. I don't know, maybe it's changed now. I don't know, but it was more on the conceptual side. It was more about conceptual art, and that's fine. But I knew what kind of art I wanted to make, and I had my influences and stuff, and I knew what I wanted to make, but I wasn't able to make it because I didn't quite have the skills, and I wanted to learn the skills to make that art, but no one there was really. I wasn't really being taught it. Some of the teachers were great, and some of them I felt like didn't really like what I did or something, maybe, or had some kind of, I don't know, some biases, maybe, I don't know, but
Really?
yeah, but
And maybe they had an agenda which
yeah,
they were kind of sticking to, and they weren't
yeah,
sort of looking after individuals and what they were wanting, maybe.
yeah, yeah. And so I just started enjoying it less and less, and I ended up, I was going on YouTube, and I found this page, right, this YouTube channel, and this guy's got this video, and he's like about to do this painting, and then he starts describing all these things about this processes of what he's going to do and how he's going to do it and stuff. And I thought, oh, like there's actually things you can actually learn for how to do this. Like I thought back in even in art school, I thought you just get better at art by just doing art all the time, or if you just draw all the time, you'll just get better. And that's why there's people that are just really good at drawing, like because there was some people at art school that were better at drawing than me, and I always used to think, how can I get as good as them? What do they know that I don't? And then I found out like there's all these things you can learn, and I just started following it more and more, and I thought, this is what I want to do. So yeah, this is all the stuff that I actually want to learn. And so I ended up, after I finished year two, and then I didn't go back for year 3 or 4, but I did. These guys, they had an online art school. So it was Watts Atelier of the Arts. And
Oh,
so I went back to work, and I was doing the online school, and I felt like it really changed my life for the better.
how
And
amazing.
yeah,
Wow, isn't that great that you actually found what you were really looking for?
yeah, yeah.
Because not everybody does. And do you feel like that time at Whitecliffe had some positive influence in some way?
It did. Before I went to Whitecliffe, I hardly ever talked to anyone. I was such very introverted. And so when I went to Whitecliffe, I just kind of forced myself. I made the decision like, oh, I have to like actually talk to people and stuff. And so I feel like I really developed and grew more socially a lot more when I was at Whitecliffe.
Mm. And
Like,
so it wasn't a waste of time then, was it?
no,
At
no,
all?
no, no,
Yeah.
definitely not. And like even I never even used to like say hi to people or things like that. I wouldn't even say hi before. And so I forced myself. I would just say hi to people every time I walked past them. And to me that was like a big thing for me.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's so great that you got to that point where you sort of did push yourself out of your comfort zone and that helped you with that. And
Yeah.
then, imagine if you'd gone straight to the online course without that, you probably would
Yeah.
have been quite a different person.
Mm.
Yeah, so it worked out well, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and now when you look at your life and your teaching and what you're giving to other people, and you're quite a public, you have quite a public role in your teaching that you're doing, and the way that you interact with communities and the public. It's
Yeah.
yeah, you've really developed in that way. So, Mark, can you please just describe your practice to us?
Yeah. So most of the work I do is just painting and drawing, and I guess I like to kind of mix like a traditional kind of realist style, but I like to also have aspects that are loose as well and more expressive. And I'm usually just well, I'd usually just be inspired by just everyday kind of things around me or everyday people. Um, I like to paint sort of common people, I guess, and try and use painting to make it look kind of, you know, take something ordinary and make it look extraordinary, or find the beauty in some everyday thing, or just or interesting aspects of everyday people. Yeah. Uh, I remember when I first went to Whitecliffe, and like, because I'd never actually properly learned any, you know, properly learned things about painting and drawing and stuff. So I remember they were first going over like some color theory stuff, and from that I ended up just sort of becoming obsessed with like color palettes and especially like limited palettes and complementary palettes and things like that. So you might notice that theme's always there in my work as well, and usually certain colors I'll always use.
So you also are very interested in life drawing now, and that comes through your practice. And it does feel like, as an artist, you are also a very busy teacher and doing lots of other things. So do you actually find that you sometimes don't have as much time as you'd like for your own practice?
Um, yeah, definitely. When I'm like working full time, because I still do house painting now, but I actually really enjoy it now, and I work for a different company, so yeah, I really enjoy it. But yeah, you work a full time job, you don't have as much time as you wish you could to spend on your paintings. Um, with the teaching, I teach 2 classes a week, so I don't feel like that takes up time, away from my own practice. I think that's fine. I really enjoy the teaching as well, um, and I've done it 3 or 4 years maybe. So I feel like I've kind of got it down now. I feel like I have sacrificed a lot of time in other aspects of my life because I actually do spend a lot of time on my paintings. And the problem is painting takes a long time. Well, it takes a while often to finish a painting. Yeah, so then there's other aspects of my life that I've not put that time into that maybe I should have, or that I'm like now having to do. I feel like it's catching up with me now. Yeah.
Yeah, that can happen. It's just so hard sometimes to get the right balance,
Mm.
isn't it? One thing sort of suffers and the
Yeah.
other thing, grows from the time that you're devoting to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So your practice, as you said, you are capturing everyday life and everyday people and noticing special things or beautiful things. So you sometimes might just take one figure and then put that in a place. And other times you seem to be quite interested in, capturing tradespeople and the whole city rail sort of development within Auckland is something that you have captured quite a lot in your paintings. So
Mm.
can you tell us a little bit about how that all works and what it is that inspires you in those kind of areas?
Often I find the best inspiration kind of comes by accident when you weren't you're not really intending it, just sort of, it happens by accident, I find. And then it's recognizing those accidents and realizing that there's something there. That construction theme, back, I started doing that around like 2017. And that was really like a reflection of how Auckland was at the time. Like it seemed like the whole city was under construction all at once, and I'm always around the city. Even right now, I'm like almost across the road from the Mount Eden train station there that's been under construction for so long. And so what happened is because I work, as a house painter as well. But at that time, I was actually doing a labouring job, and I was like on a big site there, big construction site. And I think it was a Ryman's Healthcare. And there was like so many tradies there. And I remember it was at lunchtime, and I was watching these guys. They were playing checkers, but they had a checkers board, a wooden board, but the pieces were rocks. So they're playing it with little rocks. And they were going crazy over this game. They were like so, yelling out and so excited over this game. And I always like to take sort of sneaky photos of people around. If I see something interesting, I'll try and take a sneaky photo of them. And so I took a photo of this, and then I ended up doing a painting. I didn't really think anything was going to come of it. I did it, and it wasn't until after I finished the painting that I realized, oh, hang on, there's like, this could actually be a really good theme for more, for a show or something. And so that was when that came about. Yeah.
That's so interesting. And then you did have your first solo show at Studio One Toy Two. That was 2022, is that right?
I think it was 2021. I think because I was working on it, I was finishing it. I've been working on it for ages. But I remember finishing it during the pandemic when we were in lockdown. So it would have, I think it was January of 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was titled Auckland Under Construction, and you did have another name for that.
I think I just thought maybe I just want to really spell it out with the name, like what the show is. And I thought maybe Construction Boom might have been too confusing or something. I don't know.
But I like the way that you are connecting very much with your city that you live, with Auckland. And how did that go? How did you feel about having your first solo exhibition at that time?
Oh, yeah. I feel like the pandemic ended up kind of playing in my favor a bit. We were meant to have the show earlier, but obviously a lot of things got paused, and so it kept getting delayed. And as it got delayed, I just kept doing more works, more artworks, and then I find you end up coming up with better ideas closer to the show. So even right up into the week, I'm like trying to rush out paintings and stuff. And there was a bit of of an issue because I think they didn't realize because I'd been working on the show for so many years, just doing as many paintings as I could. I had so many paintings, and some of them were like quite big, some were small. And I think they thought that I just had small paintings. And so they gave me the small sort of corridor space. And then I was like, well, how am I meant to fit all this in here? But what happened is they were supposed to have this tattoo convention thing there in the bigger room. But around that week, that was when that COVID strain came out. Was it Delta or something?
Yeah, something like that. I've blocked it out.
Yeah, some other strain came out. I can't remember what it was called, but because of that, the tattoo thing had to pull out of the event. And so they said, oh, well, if you have more works, you can use this room too for free. And so I thought, oh, great. And I brought so many more artworks, and the show ended up going really well. So,
no, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, imagine if you didn't have that extra space.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. And then also before then in 2020, you was selected, one of your works, Lion Man, was
Yeah,
selected to go on the Adam Portraiture Awards national tour. So
yeah.
and then you also won a Waitakere Awards category.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it feels like you were just sort of really starting to gain momentum with your work. Is that how you feel?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And that was when I did that Lion Man painting. That was when I had first joined the studio space here. Um, and yeah, definitely, I felt like I was kind of really re-emerging because some stuff had gone on and some stuff was going on, and I wasn't feeling that great. And then I decided I can't just keep doing work in my bedroom. So I looked for a shared studio space. I joined this place, and as I was doing this painting, I was still a bit new to oil painting at the time because I'd mostly just painted in acrylic. Um, and so it was like a really big learning curve for me working on that painting. Um, but yeah, I guess I feel like I had some momentum was just coming up, but it feels like it's kind of been like a really slow burn, you know.
Mm,
So I feel like that's happening now again. Um, I feel like more momentum is now just coming up. I always have a lot of ideas in my head that I want to do, but they might not happen until a few years down the track. So even that construction show, I had that idea years before I did the show, uh, or even art teaching, I had that idea years before I actually went and did it.
really?
Uh, unfortunately, I'm not one of those people that I should be, but that is like, if you want to do something, don't hesitate, just go and do it. I'm like the opposite. I'm like, I have to plan it all and everything's got to be right. And that's something I need to work on because I should just do more things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's just the way you do it, and that's you, and that's okay.
Yeah, true.
And you're doing it, you know.
Yeah,
So that's awesome. I mean, some people never get to do things like that.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. So just digging a bit deeper into your practice, how do you actually choose what you're going to paint?
Oh, yeah. Well, it kind of relates to that Lion Man painting as well. Like, I used to sort of volunteer a lot at North Art, the North Art Gallery back then in Northcote.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this guy who I painted that subject, and I just thought the clothes he was wearing was really interesting. He he had like two jackets on, and like had like a leather jacket over the top, and had these long dreadlocks, and he had like a reggae shirt, tattoos all on his face, and like a combination of like Rasta tattoos and like marijuana leaves and stuff on his face, and the beanie. I thought, well, like that looks so cool. I remember I was volunteering at North Art, and I looked out the window and I saw him sitting there, and I thought, wow, I'd love to paint that guy. And yeah, and that was actually a real. I'm jumping around, but that was a really exciting time as well, actually, at that time, because yes, everything was kind of new. Everything was new. It felt like the sky is the limit. You never know where you're going to go, right? And so I was learning so much about art, all these art community as I was like joining all of it, and it was really exciting. And so yeah, I saw that guy around that same time, and I thought, wow, I need to paint that guy, but I didn't have the guts to go up and ask him at the time. And then he walked away, and then I thought, oh man, I missed my opportunity. Um, I should have just gone over and asked him, and then so I thought, well, next time I see him, I'm going to go and do it. Um, and I didn't see him again until maybe about a month or so later, and he's walking, and I asked him, and it was super awkward asking him to, because he was sort of like standoffish as well. Um, and so I just asked him, can I take a photo of you to do a painting? And then he kind of paused and he's like, yeah. And then he stood there and took the photo and I said, thanks. And he just walked off.
Really? And did he have the same clothes on, the two jackets?
Yeah, he did.
Perfect.
And I did a small version of the painting at first, and it was actually just off his face. And he saw it, and all his mates saw it because there was like this. I think there was a bar across from the gallery, and I think they used to go there maybe on pokies or something. And they all saw it, and apparently, yeah, he was like getting his photo taken with it and stuff. And yeah,
That's so good.
yeah. And so
Yeah,
then I ended up
awesome.
doing a bigger version for the
Yeah.
Adam Portraiture Award. Yeah.
Wow. And that must have been great to get that, to have that touring around New Zealand.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
That's so good. And that's, you stepping out of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
which you probably actually do more than you realize.
I've learned to just be okay with the awkwardness, and embrace it in a way. And I never really cared that much myself about being awkward. It's just that it was when I became aware that other people saw me as awkward.
Yeah.
But now that I'm older, I no longer care as much about how other people see me. And so now I just sort of embrace the awkwardness and
Yeah.
yeah.
That's you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think society is a little bit more accepting of everybody's quirks.
Mm,
I like to think that anyway. I could be wrong.
right. Yeah. Everyone wants to be quirky, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone wants to be on the spectrum or
Yeah, yeah,
have a
yeah.
title of some
Yes, yeah.
form. Yeah. So, well, that's really interesting, and I find, some of the women that you portray as well in the sort of single portraits, they are very interesting people. I mean, I can see that there's something in your subjects that sort of captures you, and then you want to recreate that. What is it? There's a couple I'm thinking of. I think one was a model, or the one with a cigarette in her mouth, and the other one with the beautiful low back dress and the gorgeous tattoo on her back with the
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
dreadlocks. Yeah.
yeah.
So when you capture a woman like that,
Mm.
what are you looking for there?
The one with the model with the cigarettes, um, so that's just come about from me being doing life drawing so much. So I do life drawing like once or twice every week, and I've done that for like the last almost 10 years now of doing that. Um, and so what happened is at Studio One, I ended up building a good relationship with Studio One, where I teach now. And at the time, they had this temporary space on K Road, and they had to do a Halloween event or some sort of activation because K Road usually has a lot of good activations on during Halloween. And so they said, "Oh, can I do some sort of drawing activation, maybe still life or something?" And I thought, "No, get a model." Um, so yeah, and that was the first time I'd ever actually booked a model because I wasn't teaching back then, and so I knew her from the life drawing, and I asked her, hey, would you want to do this session? And had to run around trying to get this costume and stuff for her because in the painting, she's wearing, she's got these wings on, these red
Mm.
wings. And it was really hectic. It was really funny though when I look back at it because she had the wings of her own and she was going to wear them. And then she tells me like maybe an hour before it's supposed to start, oh, I can't use them. They're falling apart. They were in the back of her car. And so I'm like having to rush down Queen Street, go to Look Sharp, buying these wings, buying all these props and stuff. Yeah. So anyway, so it came about from that session, where people came and did like a life drawing session with her while she posed. And that photo of her with the cigarette, she's posing, but she was in these long heels. And the other funny thing is she thought that it was going to be a closed off life drawing. So she was going to wear something more revealing because she didn't realize it was like open to like all the public. It had these public windows that looked out onto K Road that everyone could see looking through the glass windows. But it ended up working out really well. And she did that pose. She was wearing these long heels and she was squatting down, doing a squat. And it was like a long pose for like 20 minutes where she had a cigarette in her mouth.
Wow.
And it was crazy. And I could see that I finally realized she had this look on her face like how much longer do I have to hold this?
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I'm surprised she held it for that long. And, because I'm a guy, I don't wear heels, so I don't necessarily know. I didn't realize how hard it was for her to squat like
but
that in heels.
even just squatting for that long would be hard.
Yeah, yes, true. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I actually always wonder how life models do it, like how they can stay in one spot for so long.
I know.
I guess it's some form of meditation for them, perhaps.
I think so, yeah. Some of them like the challenge too of it. Yeah. But so she did the pose, she had a break, and some other people came and posed while she had a rest. But anyway, I had those photos, and about maybe a year or so later, I was at another event on K Road. I think it was actually Matariki. It was the first Matariki that we had. And on K Road, there was this punk band playing outside, I think it's Vixen or something like that, shop there. And I thought it was so cool. They were playing out on the street, and everyone was like sort of dancing on the street, on the footpath, while this punk band's playing. And you even saw, grandmothers with their grandkids there listening to this punk band. And I thought it was so awesome. But I also thought it was so like unusual of how it transformed the space. And like in my mind, I'm like imagining sort of like an apocalypse scene. And so I thought of having like a show which was like played on an apocalypse theme, but also of K Road. And so another friend of mine also joined the art studio at that time, and I saw her artwork, and I thought, hey, would you like to do a collaboration show? And so that's when it had the sort of K Road theme, and I had all these photos of that model where she's dressed like a devil, and she was posing on K Road, and so that was how I ended up doing that painting of her.
Oh, amazing!
But I when I do paintings, I don't put as much planning into the actual painting as I should. So I don't plan the composition first. I just look at the photo and I think about it in my head, and I think, oh yeah, I could do something with this. Yeah, I could put her there on the painting, and then I'll work it out later. I'll add some stuff in the background or something and make it work. But then what I realized I needed to do then, I've painted her twice, so it looks like she's like a twin or something on the painting.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was just because I had to make the composition work.
Oh, that's so interesting. So you had a bit of a gap that you felt you needed to fill.
Yeah.
I love it. So just speaking of your process, how do you go about? I mean, you obviously have a photo to start with, mostly.
Yeah, if I'm doing an oil painting, I'll go on. I like painting on boards more. Wooden boards, but I'll paint on canvas or whatever. What I do now, what I realized is I don't know if it's the right way or what, but I like to use a shellac primer. It's like a bins, they call it, by Zinza, and it's a shellac-based primer, and I use that to prime the surface. And the reason I like doing that is because I learned that if you're oil painting, it's better. Apparently, it's better to use an oil-based gesso. So before I was just using the normal acrylic gesso, and so what happens is the acrylic gesso soaks in the paint a lot, and the paint doesn't appear as strong. So so apparently it's better to use an oil-based gesso. But then I saw the price of the oil-based gesso at the art shop, and I thought, what? No way. So I got this. I thought, well, maybe I should try this stuff from Bunnings.
Really?
Yeah. So I used that, and I found out that a lot of other artists also do it. They use the shellac primer, and what I found is that the paint really slides around on the surface a lot. And it's quite similar to working with soft charcoal, how you can smudge it and brush it around. So, and the other thing is, I used to draw my paintings first. I'd draw it with pencil or charcoal. But I wanted to get away from that because I wanted my paintings to be more painterly and more kind of loose. I felt that it made it a bit more exciting. And I felt that if I draw it first, then I end up just coloring in the lines, and it made my paintings feel kind of too stiff and too much. I was basically just reproducing the photo reference, and I didn't want to do that. So I, with this method of using the shellac primer, it allowed me to sort of go straight with the paint rather than drawing first. So I'll do like an underpainting, like of usually a sort of yellowish color of where I want the focus to be. And I would use some Gamsol, and because of the primer, you can slide it around on the surface and you can just move it around. If something's wrong, you can actually just lift the paint straight off the board almost, just like you would with soft charcoal. Or you can just rub it right off.
How do you add your background in once you've put your figure down?
So I just move it around and I draw. I actually erase. I use a bristly brush with Gamsol. So for my first layer, I erase the drawing and I erase the paint with the brush, and that's how I do my drawing, and then build up the layers from there. And then with the background and stuff, I just kind of try and feel it. So once I have what I want my main focus to be, I have that focus, and then I just think, okay, now how can I place things around the background to draw the focus where I want it to be? So I kind of decide that later. But sometimes you can run into problems that way if you don't really plan it out first. So that's something I'm going to look more into later on about. I need to study a bit more on how to actually plan out backgrounds a bit more.
Mm.
Yeah.
So the backgrounds aren't coming from the photos necessarily.
No, well, I would sort of pick and choose. I can pick and choose aspects of the photo, and like I will abstract it in my head. Like maybe there's something in the background, and I'll be like, well, I could use that as if it was just a patch of color, and just place it, or take that much from it and place it over there, and try and make it work as a composition.
Yeah, I love the way you do that. And I love the way sometimes you just have kind of shapes of color,
Yeah.
coming to the figure. It's really, really beautiful. And that's, I guess, a bit more abstract, but then sort of coming into your figure, which is often quite realistic, although
Yeah.
quite painterly.
Yeah.
Is that how you
Well,
see it?
yeah. Well, that's good to hear because I don't always know. Like that's the problem when you do more sort of abstract kind of stuff. I find you don't necessarily know if it looks good, or do other people think it's good, or what, you know?
Yeah.
Or like sometimes you might think it looks good on this day, and then you come back tomorrow and you think, what? Oh no, that doesn't look right.
Yeah. And do you find that hard, that sort of aspect of realist painting where you're trying to capture something, it puts more pressure on to get it sort of so-called right because you're trying to make it look a certain way. Do you find that can be hard?
I feel like when it comes to, I don't know, when it comes to drawing people, I feel like I've got that down now. It's just making, it's just knowing what to add and what to leave out is the hard thing for me right now. Knowing where to leave it loose and where to make it more tight and more realistic, knowing where to put what is the challenge I find.
Yeah.
Because there's no set, I don't think there's any set rule for it, like, oh, if you do this rule, it's, you just sort of, it just has to feel right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But,
that is
yeah.
something that will probably, how you were talking before about how you thought it was just if you kept making and making and making, you'd learn these things. Well, probably now because you've had the technical
Mm,
tuition, it
mm,
probably is just the making, 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 and you'll come to it yourself.
yeah, yeah.
And your life drawings are so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
They really are. Yeah, there's something very special about the way you draw. So I have heard people say that, to be a good drawer, you have to do life drawing.
Mm.
What do you think about that?
I think it definitely helps. Um, even if you're, even maybe if you have more abstract style or something, you can always do life drawing in your own style, I guess. And I think you can improve drawing just by drawing as well. Life drawing definitely, it also builds a stamina in your head. So sometimes when people are drawing, you can get tired from drawing, or you're, just from concentrating or whatever, your mind can get tired from life drawing. But by doing it all the time, you build up the stamina to where you don't really get tired anymore. Or so I guess it helps you concentrate when you're drawing, or helps you stay focused. And yeah, I think it's great, even just as a social aspect, going to community life drawing groups is beneficial.
Mm,
Builds up a over time. It builds up like like a library in your head of, like, when you're drawing people, you've drawn people so many times, you know what kind of goes where a little bit as well.
I mean, some of your life drawings are just charcoal on paper or, white pencil on a brown paper or, you seem to experiment a bit with your mediums. And then other times they are painted, aren't they? So
Yeah.
are you taking the life drawings that you're doing in classes and, for yourself and then making them into final works that you are then going to exhibit?
Not really. We've had a few life drawing shows where I'm using the actual life drawings from the sessions. But I don't, no, I don't try and repaint them. I just leave them be as they are. But ideally, I would like to do more longer sessions, so I can actually do like a proper oil painting from life. I find it's way more enjoyable painting a person from life than from a photo. Even just the colors on people, the photo can't really reproduce it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're also part of urban sketching community,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is really interesting. I feel like it's also connected, that sort of fast drawing and sort of capturing something of a person. And so you do that. Sometimes you offer free 10-minute sketches of people in
Oh.
public, don't you? Which is quite an interesting concept.
Well, that was the other day I did that, but it was sponsored. Um, it was sponsored by a group that do some cross street festival or something like that. So
Great.
yeah, but it was free for the public. Yeah.
Yeah. And well, it's good that you're getting some money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it for free.
No. But how do you find that, as a self-confessed introvert? How do you find interacting with the public and creating something to then show them afterwards?
How do I feel? I really enjoy seeing their reaction when they're happy with what I've done. When I do the drawing of them, and then I take the paper off, I turn it around, I show them, and they're always, oh, wow. So, and they always feel really. I feel like they feel really honoured usually when they see the drawing. So I enjoy watching their reaction to it.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
Or
I mean,
if it's a drawing of someone, maybe they get a drawing of their kid, or someone that they care about, and then creating a beautiful drawing for them of someone they care about. It's a nice buzz.
yeah, it's quite a privilege in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's lovely, and it's a lovely thing to give somebody.
Yeah.
And then you've also been involved with the art battle at Eden Park last year, you were?
Oh yeah, yeah. So a few times I've done that. Yeah, I was just for a while. I was just kind of going to every sort of art related community event there was, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. The art battle thing was like these 20-minute paintings that you do, but um, it was a really interesting experience because I remember when I first did it, I was like super nervous because this art battle thing is like it's all around the world. I was super nervous. Everyone's watching you and everyone's coming around in a circle. But after doing it, I've done it a few times now. I'm like, don't really care too much about, not nervous or anything now. So it's interesting how that's changed.
Mm.
But yeah, it's 20-minute paintings. It's interesting, but to be honest, I don't really like. I mean, you can't really do anything that amazing in 20 minutes. So I don't really like it that much. That's kind of probably why I'm not as nervous about it.
Yeah, you don't take it so seriously.
Nah,
Yeah.
not anymore.
And are you actually just creating something of your own from your head or from a photograph, or are you painting someone?
I was using photos, yeah, at the
Mm,
time, yeah.
mm.
Yeah.
And the life drawing, I mean, for me, I've never ever done life drawing, and it actually scares me. It,
Oh,
yeah, it really terrifies me. Like I look at some of the videos of your classes where people are just drawing away, and you're sort of capturing what they're making from behind, and I just think that that for me is taking me out of my comfort zone. That I would find that really
oh,
sort of threatening because I didn't study art at school. I'm a self-taught artist and I've never really drawn figures
mm,
or faces. And so I just would not know where to start. But obviously with your teaching and the way that you like to work, you are showing technique and sort of teaching those actual techniques. So
yeah.
how do you approach teaching life drawing and what tips and tricks have you got?
Well, I start off, the first few classes, I try to make it as easy as possible. So I start off with like learning about the gestures of the figure. So, I've also, I'm always reading books about life drawing and things like that, life drawing, anatomy, and that's in that. And so, from what I've from what I've read and what I've learned, I realize, yeah, it's good to start off. I always start off with like gestural stuff, and even just I start off simply with mark making. Um, so just really try and ease into it at the first class. Um, yeah, and following the big gestures and stuff. Sorry. Um, I do find that maybe say the second class, sometimes about the second or third class, people might get a bit frustrated, but then the fourth class onwards, they start seeing the benefits of those earlier classes. So there's this thing called gesture and structure. So to start with the gesture, the big flows, the curves, they call it the C curves, S curves, S types of curves in the body. And so about the action, the loose action, and the structure is the shapes of the figure. So it's like, yeah, the masses. So the the skull, the rib cage, and the pelvis. And it's just, I try to break it down to simple shapes. So, just a shape and a shape.
Yeah.
And we even have, there's a model that wears, I think he's the only one who does it. He wears boxes on himself and he poses in boxes. So I try and start simple, and I try to explain it as you have to start simple. Like a sculptor, a sculptor doesn't just go straight in and start sculpting out detailed things. They start with a simple block and they slowly over time start carving or shaping that big simple shape. And I also try to say that you have to make mistakes first, because that's how you learn, is from making mistakes. So making mistakes is kind of the whole point of it. So don't worry or get stressed about making mistakes, because that's the whole point. That's you have to make mistakes in order to learn.
Yeah.
And even when I do a life drawing, I deliberately draw it wrong at the start. And so when I'm doing the gestures, I'm doing all these big marks, just big loose, not random, but big loose marks at the start. And I know it's wrong, but I have to get something on the paper first, and I have to do it wrong first in order to make it right later. And also, like, I've done life drawing for like almost 10 years, right? And when I remember when I first started going, I was like really trying to get it perfect, and I was stressing about it, and looking back like, oh man, I don't really like these drawings, right? But now I've done it for so many years, like, I realized I've done so many drawings. I'm not losing sleep over some drawing that I did wrong, 8 years ago, So I tell them, like, you're going to do so many drawings. You're not going to be losing sleep. You're not going to be waking up one day and remembering that time you did a drawing wrong,
Yeah.
So, you don't get too worried or hung up because you did a drawing, made a mistake on a drawing or something.
Yeah, so true. And not getting too emotional about it, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think it does sometimes, those feelings of fear around certain things like that. And something like acting also is a fear for me, like standing up on stage and acting and remembering lines and that kind of thing. I think it does often go back to your childhood and experiences you've had where you've felt inadequate or you've done something embarrassing and it's really stuck with you,
Yeah.
And sometimes with life drawing, I feel like you're sort of exposing yourself. And often when you go to classes, there are people who are really good at drawing, and it's kind of like, it's a little bit more off-putting.
That's a challenge too, because there are people that are at different levels, and people who have more experience than others. And sometimes, you might see a student that's not as experienced. Some student might happen to be sitting next to the best student in the class, and they're looking over at theirs, and they're comparing their work to theirs. And that's always a challenge, is convincing them, like, it's not, you're just here to improve what you do. You're not here competing against some other person, or you're here, you're just, each person is at their own sort of step or whatever, at their own level. So you're just there to, you just compare you to yourself, compare you to yourself and your own level, and just trying to improve on your own work. You're not trying to compare yourself to this other person. This other person next to you might have been drawing for 10 years or something.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't expect to be drawing as good as someone who's been doing it for 10 years, right? Like, if you think about it, it doesn't make sense. Like, you wouldn't do it I don't think you'd do it in any other area of life. Like, if I went to some job or something and someone's been working there for 10 years and I just started today, it would be silly of me, I think, to expect to be as good as them. You know, so
true.
it's the same with life drawing or whatever. It's just knowing, to not compare, just improve you on your own level.
Yeah.
But it's something I always have to do as a teacher too. Is I'm always having to try and read different people, because it's quite interesting seeing the different types of students, and sort of you do have to try and sort of get into their head in order to see the way that they're seeing, in order to try and help them. Like, you kind of almost have to do, there's like a psychological aspect to it, or trying to empathize with someone, and you've got to kind of figure out how to put yourself in their shoes,
and how much to praise them.
Yeah.
Because praise with art, I find, is another interesting one. Like, so you might praise the person next to them and not them, and even as adults, you still have a bit of a it's a funny one too. And I found working with teachers and doing art classes with adults and with children, actually, it's often something I'm aware of. Like, I think you need to kind of phrase it in a way that you notice something interesting about the work rather than saying that's great.
Right. Yes. It's funny because at the moment, sometimes they don't believe me. Like, I'm genuinely saying, that's great. Like, what you're doing is great. And some of them, they think, oh, he just has to say that, but it's not actually true. And that's the problem. That's the challenge of life drawing as well. And even I have this problem, is you've got this beautiful model on the stage posing, and you're comparing your drawing to them. And so you never really appreciate your drawing. Even me, you never really appreciate the drawing at the time, because you're looking at them, and then your drawing doesn't really compare to them. And so I think sometimes they don't believe me when I'm trying to tell them that actually this drawing really is good, And maybe I've also found that later on, the students have gone, when they've gone further in the class, it's like maybe the 7th class or something, they've gone back and looked at their earlier drawings, and they've seen how much they've improved. And they're like, oh yeah, like I've seen I am actually improving. But they didn't realize it at the time until they looked back.
Yeah, which is so good to see that development. And then do you think with a model there, I mean, is it about sort of inspiring someone or sort of a starting point, or is it about actually trying to get the best replica you possibly can?
For what I should be doing is looking at the model and thinking, what's interesting about this pose? What do I really want to say about it? What do I want to capture? But the problem is, most of the life drawing groups, they're very quick poses. That the longest pose they have is 20 minutes. So you don't necessarily have time to do that. So I'm often just replicating the model, but then I might add certain things, just like with the painting, because I've started using softer media, so I can I also add like kind of loose marks, and I use the same process with it as I do with an oil painting. So I do get like expressive with it. And then, you just make certain marks to say, what do I want to put the focus on with this drawing, or what's the story of this drawing, I guess. But I find when you're just, but I do think, there's an aspect of, you're just comparing it to the model, I guess, which is was the challenge.
Yeah, it's a challenge. Well, how has teaching for you influenced your art practice?
It made me have to really learn what I was talking about before I could teach it. When I first started, it was like kind of an interesting story when I first. That was another benefit of the pandemic. I think some of the teachers were anti-vaxxers, so they couldn't teach there anymore, and so they had this call out for people who wanted to propose a class, and so I thought about doing it, and then I didn't. I decided not to. I thought, oh no, I'm not really ready. I don't know. I've never taught anyone before. Then I woke up the next morning, so the cutoff date was that night. I woke up the next morning. I didn't do it, and I kind of regretted it. And like, oh man, I should have just done it. And then I thought, you know what? It was in the morning. I'm just gonna. I'll see if I can still do it, and I'll just apply. And luckily, the website was still up. It hadn't been closed off yet. And then I applied, and then I got it. But then I had to really cram in, because it's one thing when you know how to do what you're doing, but it's a whole other thing of figuring out how to explain to someone else how to do it. So I had to really go back and relearn a lot of things that I had learned. I had to learn it again, but then also learn how to explain it.
Yeah.
And that's something I didn't have down at the start, but over time, each time I teach a class, I always think how can I always refine it. So each time it's a little bit different. So it just made it, but then it also benefited me because I also improved a lot in my own work, and because I had to go and learn things properly, and so I benefited a lot as well.
So good. And what made you want to go teaching in the beginning?
What it was is I saw someone else was teaching a class, and I thought, what? Like this, I could see that the teacher didn't really know it themselves from what they were putting out. And I was like, if they could teach it, why can't I be teaching? So that's kind of what kicked it off. And then that was really it at first. And then, like I said, I thought, no, I don't really know. I've never taught. And then I just did it anyway. And but then surprisingly, I actually really enjoy it now. So I'm glad I did it. Yeah.
Yeah, and people love your classes, so it's so good. That
Yeah.
was such an interesting chat. Thank you so much, Mark. I mean, as a teacher myself, I find that sort of stuff really interesting. And
Yeah, it
it
is.
does make me think, it might be good for me to go and jump into one of your classes one day.
Sure.
You'll have to hold my hand and be really gentle.
Okay. What do you normally draw or paint?
I was sort of more abstract mark making, painting, sort of exploring the medium of paint.
Yeah.
Also, I work with ideas, like I've made jewelry using resin and shells, and I've made lamps, and some of my practice is quite sort of ideas driven, and
Yeah,
then I
yeah.
find materials to be able to do it, make
Yeah.
it.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and I love that, and it's kind of responding to nature mostly, or place,
Oh, that's
but
great.
in an abstract way. And I'm really interested in color and simple form.
Yeah.
But yeah, the
Yeah.
thought of drawing a figure does, well, it's just something that's I've never done, so I don't have any experience. And it's really interesting also thinking about how people develop their own personal style within
Yeah.
that genre.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone's got their own influences and things, and I think you kind of borrow things from here, or sometimes things just happen by accident, and then you realize that accident actually looks kind of cool, and then you use that, and it becomes your
Yeah,
style.
yeah. What artists inspire you, do you think?
Well, the person that I did the online school with was Jeff Watts. Um, One of the artists I get the most inspiration for is Zhao Ming Wu. His name is. It's a Chinese artist who does a lot of figurative stuff, but very loose kind of stuff. He has that perfect balance. He has that perfect balance of loose, but somehow it looks realistic at the same time, and that's a balance that I'm always trying to get. So I feel like I'm still searching for. I feel like that guy, he's got it down perfect. So that guy, Steve Houston, so he's got really good books and things about figure drawing, and so that was quite influential. Nathan Felks, his book on how to draw portraits in charcoal was really influential for me, because when I first started getting to oil painting, I was copying my reference too much. But it was through this charcoal portrait drawing book that it made me loose, because he uses a lot of big loose marks with the charcoal, and without me even realizing it, it was translating over to my painting, and I started painting like a bit more expressively. So yeah, so that was Nathan Felks. He's great. Yeah.
Brilliant. And are you actually with any galleries, or is that something that you're interested in doing?
No, I'm not. I'd like to be. I feel like I need to work more on sort of putting myself out a bit more with my art, and like the marketing side is something I don't spend enough time in, because like I was saying, just working on a painting already takes so much time, and then you have to also be the one who has to try and market it and promote it as well. And so that's something I need to get better at. So no, I'm not with the gallery.
Well, I'm sure that somebody would love to have you part of their stable of artists. It's just making those connections, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And I guess, entering more awards and that kind of thing is a good way to get your work out there.
Yeah. So I'll try some award shows this year. I didn't really do it. I didn't do any last year, I think. But there's like the Adam Portraiture Award coming up, so I'll try for that one and see how it goes. I know a lot of, I know some artists that are with galleries, and some artists that have won a lot of awards in the past, but you just never know with the awards. Like some of them, they just don't get in now at all, and yeah. So yeah, the awards thing is funny. You just never know.
Yeah, it
It's a
is
real
hard,
lottery.
but I think it's always good for a bit of a deadline and, something to work towards as
That's
well.
true. Yeah,
And
that's
then
true.
really good way of getting your work out there, like with the Lion Man that went around New Zealand,
Yeah. That was my first time trying, and I got in that first time. I
Yeah.
didn't get in the next few times though. But like I said, you never know. I think it's for that one. It's worth just entering anyway. And
Yeah. And you
yeah,
can't get discouraged. It's like applying for funding. You can't get discouraged, even though it can be discouraging. And have you
yeah,
thought about any of the art shows or, art in the park or any of that kind of thing?
yeah. Again, like I don't know. I'd like to. I guess I'd need, maybe I just need to get better at approaching them or something. Because yeah, of course I'd like to be in it, but haven't been in it. But then again,
Mm,
I've never tried either. I haven't
yeah.
like applied. I know that apparently like people have said it's better to have them approach you, and I know a lot of the people from the galleries go in that art in the park, and I'm not with any galleries, so that makes it harder. So, and apparently like you can apply on the website, but it's like, I don't know, I heard that like it's still like it's hard, it's less likely or whatever. So I just never tried, but
Mm.
maybe I should
Sometimes.
just try.
Yeah, I think you should. And
Yeah.
even just connecting with artists who have done that kind of thing and getting a few tips and just
Yeah.
doing it, give it a go and see what happens. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely worth it. And your work, it deserves to be put out into the public more, I think.
Thanks.
And what would you say to your younger artistic self?
Oh, I think I would have to think really hard, just because it's a hard one, because you know like if I did anything differently, I wouldn't be who I am now, right? But there's a lot of things I would say. There was a lot of things I would say to my younger self, but maybe not art related. Maybe more about other aspects of life. I would say I'd definitely go back and probably change or say to myself, but not necessarily art related.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But you know, it all comes together and influences the artist you are today, you know.
Yeah.
Even the quirky stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what you have mentioned a show that's coming up in December, but anything else coming for you this year?
Oh yeah, there's a group show in May at Devonport. I think it's called Between Us or something, and quite a lot of artists. I don't know how many artists it is now, but it seems like it's like a lot of artists going to have a big group show there.
At Depot?
Art Depot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I have some works in there. At the moment, I'm working on my portrait of my father, and I'm going to try and enter that in the award show, and hopefully it gets in. And yeah, the show in December, and yeah, I think that's it. I'll be very busy.
Yeah.
I'll be very busy for the December show. I've got a lot to do for that.
Yeah. And then your teaching continues. You've got a
Yeah.
class or two classes happening this term.
Yeah, got one today.
Oh, good. Brilliant. Oh, Mark, thank you so much for being on Creative
Oh,
Connections.
thank you, Mandy.
It's really been lovely talking to you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's been great. You know, it's funny. I was kind of worried before. I was like, because I thought, man, I hope this isn't going to be like a really short episode where I'm going to give like one word answers or something. Like, oh, I'm going to have to think so hard about what I'm going to say. But no, it's just kind of flowed. So it's been great.
Oh, it's been so lovely. Thank you very much.
Oh, good. Thank you, Mandy.